Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here. So the Washington Commanders just won their first game. It was ugly, but hey, a win is a win. 20-16 against the Arizona Cardinals. If you guys are new, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell as well. Takes a few seconds, and it really does help out the channel. And I did stream my post-game reaction on Bleacher Report, so if you guys want to go ahead and check that out, go ahead and check that out. I might even post the whole thing on the channel. That was fun, but gonna do it again right here. 20-16, guys. This was not pretty. It was not pretty, but at the end of the day, they got the win. Sam Howell was definitely shaky in his first start with the Commanders this season, but they ended up getting the win 20-16 against one of the worst teams in the league. So all the mistakes they had in this game, it wasn't great, and you shouldn't be doing that, but get those out of the way right now, because if you do what you did today against the Broncos, against the Bills, against the Eagles, and honestly whatever other team you play the rest of the way, you're not winning many games. So that has got to change. Sam Howell, 19 for 31, 202 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, got sacked 6 times. 6 times cannot happen. And his pass rating was 77.6, had a rushing touchdown, but also had a absolutely horrendous fumble that they scored a touchdown off of. So the defense only allowed 9 points. The defense is 100% the reason we won this game. And midway, it might have been like early third quarter, I was like, this defensive line is, I think I said, like, pathetic. They weren't playing well. They weren't playing terribly, but they weren't playing to the standard I thought they could play out. They didn't have any sacks. James Conner was like killing us on the ground, but then the next possession, they turned it up. Montez had a forced fumble, and then, after that, they really didn't do anything on our defense. Like, let's look at the defense real quick, because that's like the things we can really talk positively about. Montez MVP of the game, 1.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss QB hit. Jonathan Allen, he gets a game ball, 3 tackles, 3 solo tackles, kind of had a backward sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 3 QB hits. And then Abdullah Anderson had a half a sack. And who else had a sack? I mean, I guess that's it. But D-line definitely played better after that. Terry McLaurin had a nice tackle on the Sam Howell interception. I'm trying to think of who else played really well. Tress Way, great game. A bunch of really long punts. 3 inside the 20. Also had a great hold on a terrible Cameron Cheeseman snap. I like the guy. He's nice, but man, like, this cannot be happening. Happened in the preseason, happened in training camp. And we draft this guy. We traded up to get him. Can't do that. Sly was good. 2 field goals, 2 for 2, 2 extra points, but they were short. You got to make those. But that's something he struggled with, so it's fine. Crowder wasn't anything special. His long was 5 yards. And he did have 1 nice return, but it was negated because of Quan Martin. So that's why I don't really care. I don't really get the people crying about Dax Milne. Like, he is not good. He is not great as a punt returner. Not even good. But he can catch it. And when you do return it, I would say like close to 50%, probably maybe like 30% of the time, it gets called for a penalty. So you're going to get backed up anyways. Quan Martin had a bad penalty on a Crowder return, and it really didn't affect the return. But, we lost yardage because of that. That was unfortunate. Gibson had a return for 21 yards. Speaking of Gibson, he's one guy that definitely does not get a game ball. He had 3 carries for 9 yards, but the thing that was bad was he had a fumble. And not only did he have a fumble, he had a fumble in our red zone. So we are minimum getting a field goal, maybe a touchdown, and he fumbles, and that just really hurts your momentum. It really hurts your momentum. So that's another 3 points that should have been on the board, maybe even more. Sam Howell started out the game pretty well, and then slowly from there declined. Had a couple nice throws to Logan. That Logan drop. Logan gets his stock's down. 4 catches, 43 yards, but dropped at least 3, maybe 4 passes from Howell. Howell had a really nice play where he extends the play and throws the ball to Brian Robinson. That was a nice play, and it looked like I'm not comparing him at all to Patrick Mahomes, but it looked like a play that he does. But then he goes on after that. Has an interception that wasn't completely his fault. It was tipped, but you don't like to see that. Even if it wasn't tipped, like, it probably would have gotten deflected or something by someone else. Like, it would have been broken up, maybe even intercepted. And then he had the next possession, Terry's wide open. going across the middle, and he throws it behind him, and it hits the Cardinals defender. That was bad because that's automatic, first down for us, and Terry maybe gets more yards after the catch. And then the next play, we're still kind of in field goal range. He takes a sack. We're out of field goal range. That's another 3 points on the board. And the O-line wasn't great. Some of those sacks were on Howell, and then some of them were definitely on the O-line. Just Sadiq Charles did not have a good game. He was getting beat a lot. It's hard to tell, but I know Sadiq got beat a lot. Also had some penalties, some of that were questionable, but O-line definitely as a whole stock down. Maybe a couple of them were fine. I like that they were sticking up for their teammates. Nick Gates got lucky he didn't get a penalty where he kind of just tackled the guy or checked the guy that was tackling Logan Thomas after the play was over kind of. But hey, they weren't calling it on the Cardinals. The Cardinals were making so many of those plays, but yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick. Chris Rodriguez, he got more carries than I thought he was going to get. I didn't think he was going to get any unless they were in garbage time. 3 carries, 7 yards, 1 or 2 first downs, and they used them early. I expect Gibson to not get any more carries or very few carries, especially if Chris Rodriguez looks good. Gibson did have 1 catch for 10 yards, and that was a really nice, I thought, play design by Eric Bieniemy to get them in this, get them a first down, and I thought it was a first down, but they called it short, and then the Commanders challenged it, and they still somehow said it was short. So that was interesting to me, and I thought maybe you could go for it, but I understand why they didn't. They were backed up in their own 30, so it was going to be tough. If you didn't get it, you're basically going to give them maybe not a touchdown, but at least a field goal. So that is something that is debatable. Also, I didn't like on not their last possession, but the second to last possession. It was 3rd and 6, and they run it. You gotta throw that, man. You gotta throw that and risk it a little bit more. They were playing scared there, and you still needed more points. And I was just really disappointed with that play call by Eric Bieniemy. And there was a couple other times earlier on in the game, I thought they could have ran more with Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson ended up with 19 carries for 59 yards, 3.1 yards a carry, which isn't great, but it was, there was one, a couple where it wasn't really his fault. I thought he was solid. He also had a receiving touchdown as well. Sam Howell, throwing to the running backs, didn't do well. One was over Brian Robinson's head a little bit, and then there was one that was behind him, and I guess they called it a run because Robinson only had 1 catch. Maybe it was because it was backwards, and that's risky as well, throwing it backwards, and Robinson caught it one-handed. So if he didn't catch that, I guess according to what they called it, it would have been a fumble, and that could have been another touchdown. So Sam's got to do better. He's got to play cleaner. If I had to give him a grade, I'm probably going to give him, I'll be nice and say a C. I think it's more like a C minus, but I'll give him the, not benefit of the doubt, but the O-line wasn't great. I mean, he got sacked 6 times. Some of it was his fault. Some of it was the other fault, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt just because the O-line was just really, really not great. So that's why we'll give him a little bit of a leeway there, but he's got to be better next game. 100% has to be better. The completion percentage was fine. He also missed Dotson in, I think it was the first half on the right sideline. He was open, overthrew him. Got to get Dotson and McLaurin more involved. Only 7 catches for 71 yards for your 2 best receivers. And Logan Thomas should not be, I know he dropped some, so it could have been more, but that's also part of it. He should not be getting 8 targets and Terry getting 4. Flip that around. Also, Sam Howell early on in the game missed Diami, on the left sideline. That would have been a touchdown. They didn't show it on the replay, or at least I didn't see it, but a lot of people were saying that. But the Commanders, they got, they forced 2 turnovers and they turned the ball over 3 times in the first half. That was ridiculous. That cannot happen. Sam Howell interception, a little bit unlucky. It was tipped. The fumble, I really hope that never happens again because he barely got touched and that was ended up being a touchdown. The fumble with Gibson, that stuff, that's not unlucky. He fumbled that, and that's going to happen. If he gets a lot more carries, that probably is going to end up happening again for the Commanders. And shout out to Mojo for sponsoring this video. Mojo is a crazy new and exciting app where you can enter contests to win big money and prizes. I will be doing a giveaway where you guys can enter some contests and win some cool jerseys like a Jahan Dotson signed jersey and some tickets as well. So stay tuned for that. But my picks this week didn't work out the best, but we didn't officially enter a contest just because it was the first week. We're going to be doing that soon. But if you want to do some of these contests, because there's a Sunday night game today between the Giants and the Cowboys, there's a Monday night game as well. You can pick all your players and props. And if you're in the top 50%, you double your money. So it's a great deal, and it's something that no other sports books are offering. Deals like this, and they're partnering with a lot of creators, so we can give you guys giveaways and stuff to join the contest. So make sure you guys go ahead and check out Mojo. Use my code Pedro for a first time deposit match of up to $100. Check them out. Okay, yeah, so to wrap it up, we'll go over a few other player performances. I thought Curtis Samuel had a solid day, 5 catches for 54 yards, a rushing attempt as well for 6, so at 60 yards. He had a solid day again. Brian Robinson was solid as well. I thought Jahan was good, and Terry as well. They just didn't get a lot of opportunities. And Cole Turner had a nice catch for 17 yards. Wanted to make sure to shout him out there. And again, the D linemen played amazing, especially in that second half, forcing turnovers. They hit Joshua Dobbs there. I think Montez Sweat maybe gets credit for that forced fumble, and then Abdul Anderson recovers the fumble. So hey, he played in without Phidarian Mathis, played pretty well. Hopefully Chase Young plays next week, but I'm not sure about that. Cody Barton was okay. A lot of these guys, it's tough to tell. Derek Forrest made some really nice tackles. I thought Jamin Davis made some good tackles as well. He had a tackle for loss. Cameron Crowe was solid. Percy Butler had a couple nice plays. Should have had a interception, but got beat off the line. I think it was against Ertz or McBride, and his closing speed was good, and he had it in his hands. Should have made it, but hey, we'll give him a pass. David Mayo had a really nice tackle on special teams, and Jeremy Reeves had a few nice tackles on special teams. They call him All-Pro Revo for a reason, and I think he's going to be getting that again. Shout out to him. Let's see, 3 tackles, 2 solo tackles. I don't think he got any run on defense, but he might have a little bit, but he looked really good out there on special teams, and that stuff really helps out getting them with really bad field position. Few too many penalties on the defensive side of the ball. With Quan Martin, he had a concussion, and then Sam Cosmi also had a concussion, or they checked him for one. He came back, but Ricky Stromberg played a few snaps for him. I thought he looked okay. Good to see him get reps, and interesting that they had him active over a guy like Chris Paul. And not even that they had, Ricky Stromberg active, but it's surprising they had Chris Paul inactive, especially after he was battling for a starting spot. That's just interesting to me. And besides that, nothing else really that crazy. Underwhelming performance for the first week, but hey, the crowd was, hype. They were helping as much as they could. We're still excited about Dan being gone, but hey, after this is the honeymoon period's over. They got to start over next week and ball out against the Broncos. They really do. Sam Howell needs to play better. Oline needs to play better. We talked about it all off season, and Rivera really didn't, address it much, and the way he did address it wasn't great. Sadiq did not look good, and hey, they might have to switch things up, maybe sign a veteran. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and